Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm your host, Owen James. This is all your latest Rangers news, guys. Obviously, a fantastic result last night, a 3-0 victory in the Champions League over Victoria Plitzen. Yes, Plitzen weren't the best of teams, but you know what? You can only beat what is put in front of you. And I think one of the things we need to start doing as a fan base, and we'll get onto the transfer story in a minute, guys, so please hang on for that. Nobel Mendy, the left-sided central centre-back stroke left-back from Real Betis. We will address that in a minute. But I just wanted to kind of generally address something I've been reading in some of the comments and things about Rangers. I think, one of the things we do need to kind of address is the fact that, yes, you get this whole stuff where you beat Blitzen, it's 3-0, they were rubbish, blah, 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 blah. Well, you can only beat what's put in front of you. And I think we need to kind of look at it this way. Look, let's accentuate the positives. Let's accentuate what went well. Let's look at this result as for what it was. It was a good result. It was a good performance. The team played well. Lyle Cameron, obviously, for me, was the real standout from last night. Absolutely fantastic. The way he was always willing to receive the ball. His use of the ball was excellent. I thought he played exceptionally well indeed. Gassama was absolutely fantastic, as was new signing Oliver Antman as well. And I think, if you look at the fact that Antman, Gassama, Cameron were all fantastic, it only goes to show that the recruitment must be doing something right. I know Cameron was kind of a cop and buy, but it's still the recruitment must be moving in the right direction if these players are coming in and making this difference to the team. So yeah, overall a very, very positive game and a lot to build on going forward. Interesting that Russell Martin said he wasn't happy with the intensity in the last 15 minutes of the game, but look, at the end of the day, it was what it was, guys. I think it was always going to happen when you're 3-0 up, and I know that's when all the subs came, and you tend to find when you make a number of substitutions, you can lose a little bit of impetus, especially looking at the players that came on last night. Anyway, look, story today that Rayo Vallecano, I think it was, who were in for for the Senegalese, left-sided centre-back, stroke left-back, Nobel Mendy. He's 20 years old. He is a big physical specimen of a player, someone who has been with Betis now, made, I think, 34 appearances for the Spanish club. Senegalese, came through the youth system in Paris, not Paris Saint-Germain, one of the other minor Parisian teams. Now, the story was that he was already subject of transfer interest from that other Spanish team, Rayo, but Rangers have apparently made direct contact with Betis and have placed Mendy quite high up their list of priorities and are pushing to get a deal done. So, look, I mean, this is a pretty intense one. Again, Rangers looking to bring in a young, aggressive, attacking, forward-minded player. Again, this is another player that very much fits the trading model. He's 20 years old. He is a player who, again, give it 2-3 seasons playing well, and he looks a decent prospect. Could be worth a substantial amount more money, like the Kassamas, like the Antmans, like the Camerons of this world. Now, look, I certainly think that left side centre-back is a position that Rangers do need to address. Now, John Suter, I think, did quite well last night. He's had some criticism. I do think John Suter gets a lot of very unfair criticism from some of our fans. I think he did very, very well last night. Put his body on the line a number of occasions, brought the ball out from the back very, very well indeed. However, he's been used at a left side centre back, and as we've seen, Suter is much more comfortable playing right side centre back than left side centre back. Manny Fernandez obviously is another one, but I think he's seen very much as been a development prospect. Nobel Mendy is someone who's played in La Liga. And done very well in La Liga. So I think he is someone who would very much attract Rangers. He would come in, be able to start at left side centre back, or even possibly in that left back slot. Now, we've seen this season already that the left back slot is one that does need to be addressed. Hiefte came in last night. I thought he did okay. He wasn't brilliant. He wasn't terrible. He did okay last night. But, with Ridvan possibly departing back to Turkey, with Robbie Fraser seemingly not in the picture, Rangers do need to address that left back slot. It is a position of need. And I think, looking at last night's performance, Max Aarons was so much better playing in his natural position of right back. People can talk about whether professional footballers, they should be able to play anywhere, but look, when you're naturally right-footed and your strength is on your right foot, you will automatically come back to that. If you're in a position where you're under pressure, you automatically revert to type and you go onto your stronger side to try and get out of trouble. And the problem when you've got two right footers playing on the left is it automatically narrows the pitch down because the team pushes in, and it causes a compactness. Now, when you come into Scotland, that is a bit of an issue, obviously, against these teams that like to play the low block against us. Now, having someone who's left-footed, naturally left-footed on that side, gives you a natural width. And I think, obviously, Jefte showed that last night, and I thought he did very well getting around the outside and overlapping with Gassama. And I thought we were very effective down the left side with Jefte and Gassama. However, obviously, adding someone like Nobel Mendy would obviously give us options there. And again, it's a player who can play in a number of positions. He can play as a left-side centre-back, or he can play in that left-back slot. Now, it's clear Rangers have been interested in left-backs in this transfer window. We were looking at Owen Beck, who's now signed a new long-term deal at Liverpool. We were also looking at Utara from Monaco. That seems to have gone very quiet indeed. But it does seem that left-back is a position that does want and need to be addressed. Centre-back also, I think, a position that needs to be addressed. Now, is this a case of being able to kill two birds with one stone by bringing in someone like Nobel Mendy? Obviously, the fact that he's Senegalese is a slight concern. Obviously, with AFCON coming up, you lose players for AFCON. It's not ideal. But, it's a risk you take when you sign African players. But, this young lad looks good. He looks big. He looks strong. He looks physical. He certainly looks a player. And I think, the more young, aggressive, forward-minded players we can bring in who are fit, who are strong, who can run, who can be brave, can do the things that Russell Martin wants, the better for the team. Rangers are quite clearly a team now moving in the right direction. It was really refreshing to see last night that, taking out a lot of the old guard, taking out a lot of those players that have kind of let the club down on a regular basis and bringing in more of the new signings helped last night. And I think adding new players to that. And now Russell Martin has been very clear in what he said. He came out and he said, look, the team that finishes this transfer window will not look like the team that started it. And I think there is a lot more still to come from Rangers. There's still a lot more players that will come in. And I think, we're looking at possibly another 2-3 names, 2-3 players through the door before this window shuts, along with players obviously exiting the club as well. Although Russell Martin did say that the board are not in a position where they need to sell. We are not in a position where we have to sell. If the right offer comes in for one of our players, we will obviously consider it and move that player on. But however, we don't need to obviously be selling these players, which is refreshing for a change, where we're certainly in a situation in the past where we did need to move players on. But Nobel Mendy, I think, would be a very good buy for Rangers and certainly add to this squad. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is Nobel Mendy someone that you think we should be looking at? Is he the type of player that you like? Like I said, he plays for Betis. He is apparently on the transfer list. He is available for sale. Rangers have made contact. He has made it over 30 appearances for Betis in La Liga. Tend to be, if you play for in La Liga, you're not a bad player. He's also played in the Conference League as well. Betis making it all the way to the final last season. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.